Excited today to dig into crypto giving and walk through some of what's happening in the back cave. There's a lot of people at FreeWill working super hard, so I'm excited to share what they're learning and what they're doing. Quick introductions. My name is Patrick. I've met a lot of you, some in person, some not. And I'm lucky to be the co-founder and co-CEO of a company called FreeWill, alongside my wonderful co-founder, Jenny, pictured here on the left. And then we are just as lucky to work with a team that is now 150 people, which blows my mind sometimes. And we've raised almost $5 billion in crypto gifts, in bequests, and stock gifts, in qualified charitable distributions. And that's been really wonderful. And so what you'll see in a moment is the result of a lot of hard work by a lot of people who are not me. And some of you are on the call, so thank you for everything you're doing. At its core, FreeWill really focuses on what we call non-cash gifts, right? On wealth instead of income. Why is this? Well, it's where all of the money is. So in the United States, 98% of wealth is held in what are called non-cash assets, IRAs, real estates, crypto, stocks, et cetera, and just 2% is income. Why does this matter? These gifts are way larger from the same people. The average cash gift is $100. The average crypto gift is $3,000. The average stock gift is $10,000. The average bequest is over $60,000. And so all of these are dwarfing these sort of tiny cash gifts. And then also, we've seen this research, and I'm sure some of you have seen this before, and maybe from us. We think that this is some of the most important research in the history of nonprofit fundraising, done by our dear friend, Dr. Russell James out of Lubbock, Texas. Organizations that focus on things like appreciated securities, which include things like stocks and crypto, or any non-cash assets, just grow 6 times faster than organizations focused on cash. So if there's anything you take away today, it's think, how do we get gifts that are not just cash, because those gifts will be so much larger from the same donors. And so what has all the hard work gone into then? Planned giving tools, what are called QCDs. We won't talk about these at all today, but these are gifts out of your retirement account. One of the fastest growing types of philanthropy in the United States, actually only surpassed by crypto at the moment. Stock giving, and then crypto, which we'll talk about today. By the way, welcome Emily and Marjorie and Jenny. Thanks for sharing and introducing yourself, as well as so many other folks. So here's how we think about crypto donations. In 2022, we're seeing massive value overall of crypto. Now it's fluctuating a lot. That's inherent in crypto, and it can be a good thing and a bad thing for donations. But it's reached more than $3 trillion in November, 13 years after Bitcoin is launched. Now, just to put this in perspective, the entire US stock market is about $41 trillion. So you're about 8% of the entire value of all of the public companies in the United States, which is wild. 16% of the US population is on crypto. That is 21 million people. So this is much less niche than you might be thinking about it. 13% said they plan to buy crypto within the next year. And so this is really, really going mainstream, right? You start adding those up, looking at 29, 30% of folks owning crypto. Why have donations soared? Well, a lot of people are investing. It's become almost as mainstream as the stock market, especially among millennials, older Gen Z, younger Gen X. We'll talk more about this in a second. Really, really important. These huge increases in value are leading to more wealth. We often hear about Bitcoin crashes and ups. And remember that people are buying, that bought in 2013, 2014, 2015, might have seen 10,000% gains. Really just astounding wealth being created. But obviously this wealth results in more capital gains and more paid in taxes. So why is crypto giving so good for donors? Many of you know this, but it's worth getting us all on the same page here. Remember that capital gains are the increase in what was paid for an asset and what you're selling it for. These are taxed on what's called a capital gains tax. That's pretty intuitive. Just to put this in math for a second, let's say we bought Bitcoin at 1,000 and we're selling it at 21,000. It means we have $20,000 in capital gains, and that's all taxed at a pretty high rate, up to 23.8%. When donors give you crypto, they avoid all the capital gains taxes, and in many cases, they also receive a federal tax deduction for the value of the gift. So there's a lot of big benefits here for donors. Why does this matter for you? When donors avoid capital gains, they obviously transfer a lot of these savings onto you in the result of bigger gifts from the same donors, right? That's sort of the refrain here. In this way, it's very similar to stock giving. If you haven't been focused on stock giving, you should also really, really be focused on stock giving. It tends to be some of the largest gifts that nonprofits ever receive. But The way it's different is that the people who own crypto tend to be a little bit different from your major stock donors. And so when you can provide this option, you actually open up a new donor pool. So let's dig into who owns crypto. Well, first and foremost, age is one of the biggest indicators. The average age is 38. 77% of crypto owners are under 45, right? How many of you have been thinking, we need to get to millennial major donors, but we don't know how, and that's been a topic at a meeting at least once a year for 6, 7, 10 years, right? This is one of the best avenues into opening the door for millennial major donors. 74% of crypto owners are male, but 53% of people interested in buying it this year are women. So you're really starting to see that gender gap shift. More than half live in urban or suburban areas. And then the average income is about 111,000. Most of these are investors. So these are your sort of mass affluent, younger Gen X, older millennials, older Gen Z, living in urban, suburban areas, leaning male, but that's shifting. And these are folks that you really want to be cultivating, not just for this crypto donation, but for long-term giving, because you can see their average income is here. And as we've sort of said in the past, you'd rather get a $10,000 gift from a millennial than a $10,000 gift from a baby boomer. Why is that? Because the giving capacity of that millennial is going up, whereas that boomer may sort of stay steady. When we think about who owns it, this is a list of the concentration of crypto owners, and it's this sort of index, right? So San Francisco is #1, and everything else is based off of that. Take a look at this list. If you have a lot of donors in SF, New York, LA, Chicago, Seattle, some of the big Texas cities, Houston, Austin, Dallas, Atlanta, San Diego, Miami, Denver, Portland, Vegas, Philly, DC, Phoenix. If this is where your donors are, it makes sense to start thinking about accepting crypto, right? These are some of the biggest areas of concentration. All right, so now that we're thinking about this, right? There's $3 trillion out there. It opens up new avenues and new types of donors, as well as larger gifts from the same donors. If you have those folks in your database, what does it actually mean to be successful? It's really 3 steps. One is placing a giving option on your website. This is ideally from the donate page, and we'll talk about that in a second. 2, setting up immediate processing. You don't want to be holding it. We'll talk more about that. And then 3, making sure your team's actually up to speed and doesn't feel overly confused. Okay, so the first thing, we're really proud of what we built here, and partly because it's super easy for donors and partly because it's super easy for nonprofits. So we'll talk about donors first. What we've done is make it extremely easy, about 2 minutes total, to be able to donate crypto to your organization for a donor. Here's what it looks like for Hope for Haiti. Very clean, easily co-branded site. And then donors, what they do is they choose a coin. This is one of the different types of cryptocurrencies. The tools then automatically estimate what is that roughly in US dollars right now. You can give 1 Bitcoin, you can give 1/10 of a Bitcoin, you can give 1/100 of a Bitcoin, you can give 20 Ethereum. There's about 35 different coins, and we are constantly adding new coins to expand the giving options there as well. We're capturing donor information so you can thank and steward these folks. And there's a box here that can be used for messages. It can also be used to say, please send this to undergraduate diversity scholarships, right? And some of you have multiple areas of designation. This can also be used for that, which is quite helpful. Then what happens is the tools generate what's called a one-time use wallet. If this doesn't make sense to you, don't worry. If you are a crypto donor, you will know exactly what this is and exactly how to use it, right? And what this does is allows us to track where has that money come in, making sure we tie it to the right donor. This is really important in crypto giving. Sometimes you can sort of end up confused if you don't have this in the right way. We'll confirm it, and then the tools actually offer you a chance to give again. Why would you give again? No one sort of swipes their credit card twice. Well, in crypto donations, a lot of people have a portfolio of different coins. Excuse me. And so what they'll be doing is giving you one type of coin and then a second process where it's another type of coin. And this is where it's really important that you can offer a whole bunch of different coins and not just one, because crypto giving is scattered a bit. All right, so the second part, and this is super, super important, right? So if you're only if you're sort of in the kitchen making breakfast or cleaning up or doing something or checking your email, I would say spend the next 2 minutes listening and then go back to that process. yes, one of the important parts is auto liquidation to US dollars. We'll talk about this a bit, but then there's a more important part around not breaking the law with the IRS. So the tools confirm the donor's gift, automatically liquidate to US dollars, send the money directly to you. That's over ACH. A tax receipt is automatically generated to the user with reminders of the need for appraisal for gifts over $5,000. Now, this is really, really, really important. So why is it an appraisal? Well, the IRS treats crypto as property, not like stocks. So there's some special IRS language. If you give stock, we all sort of know what the price was at what time in a publicly traded market. Now, crypto often has a lot of the same dynamics. You know what the price is, you know how much it was worth on Wednesday at 12:03 p.m., and that doesn't matter to the IRS. For $5,000 gifts, it's treated the same way that if I give a piece of art or if I donate my car or my boat, I don't own a boat, but theoretically, in that case, I would need to get it appraised in the same way. The auto liquidation is really useful. There's no risk of wild fluctuations or market complications. As a reminder, Bitcoin is about 100 times more volatile than anything else you can possibly take. There have been dozens and dozens and dozens of days in the 13-year history where Bitcoin has dropped by more than 15%. That has happened once in the 120-year history of the US stock market, right? So just to give you an order of magnitude shift. Regular updates with full list of donors, et cetera, so you can be thanking and stewarding these people. Here's a really important part, right? What is happening is that because of these sort of treated as property rules, a lot of organizations who are taking crypto are either taking on a ton of liability or actually just breaking the law right now. Now, why is that? Because they're not filing the right stuff with the IRS, and we'll talk about that now. In this tool, we're really cautious about making sure that that burden doesn't fall on you at all. And so gifts are processed by a partner nonprofit called Co-Catalyst Impact, similar to a donor advised fund, and US dollars is then sent onto your organization. What does that mean? It means you're actually not taking ownership of the crypto at any point, which requires no change in gift policies for your organization. Now, remember, we just mentioned this, every donation of property, including crypto, over $500 requires the recipient, meaning you, to file Form 8282 with the IRS. These forms then have to be signed, usually in wet ink, by an officer of your organization. The IRS treats that like your president or your CFO and filed within 125 days by the IRS, right? So every time you get a $500 donation, in most cases in crypto, you need to then file this form, track down your boss's boss, get them to sign it. And with other tools, these folks also often have to put in their social security number, their driver's license, everything else, right? So this is why it's become burdensome for some folks, and some folks don't do it. Now, we put a ton of attention on making it not just easy for donors, but making it easy for nonprofits. And as I just mentioned, gifts are processed by Co-Catalyst Impact and then sending you US dollars. What does that mean? It means that we get to liberate you from all the responsibility, handle all of the forms 8282, and what's called Form 8283, which is what we need to sign if the donor has donated more than $5,000. But it means you never have to do any of this with the IRS, and it's all systematized and standardized by us. There's also no arduous setup process and no private personal information. We've heard about a lot of folks who just say, sort of embarrassed, asking my CFO for his social security number and back in front of his driver's license, because that's a pain. He doesn't really want to do it. He might not understand crypto, or she might be a little bit skittish about identity theft. And so that's how we think about it. So, you know, at its core, we've really, in our design team and our engineers and other folks have really looked at how do we make sure all the upside of crypto donations there, but none of the risk or really the headaches, which can be quite common. Nobody wants to be the person who gets, you know, their organization fined by the IRS. Each new gift, you'll receive a notification so you can thank and steward donors. This will be a soft credit, right? Because the tax receipt is already issued. Money is sent to you via ACH transfer. You'll set up a free account on something called Bill.com. Many of you already use this, but it's super simple to accept it. Money just goes right into your bank account. And then data and analytics are being built out to a greater degree. Should be ready in the first half of this year. So we're super, super excited about this. Here's an example of what a tax donation looks like. You know, thank you for your crypto donation. assets were processed by co-catalyst and directed onto Union of Concerned Scientists. All right, so we're super excited about these tools. The other thing we really want to do is make sure people's careers are taking off because they really understand crypto philanthropy, which is going to be a big part of the next 5 years. And so when we ask fundraisers, hey, how comfortable are you and confident in your knowledge of crypto? On a scale of 1 to 5, 58% say I'm a 1, right? And 1% say I'm a 5. The average is 1.7. And so that's okay, right? It's new to everybody. It's new to your donors. It's new to you. And it's constantly changing. So even if you get yourself to a 4, maybe you drift down to a 3 by the following year. And so what we're doing is best-in-class training for all partners, right? Partner-only training 6 times a year, open to everybody at your organization, whoever wants to join, focus on things like, how do we identify potential crypto donors? How do we ask for gifts without sounding stupid, right? How do we steward millennial major donors? And how are they different potentially from your silent generation or your boomers or your Gen X? What is the best language to use? What's the worst language to use? How do you want to avoid something that's going to sort of put off a crypto donor? And what have other organizations done to be successful? Also, we're putting together a lot of marketing best practices. Some people aren't comfortable talking about crypto, and so we'll just give you the best templates that we're constantly tweaking and testing. We spend a ton of time talking to donors, talking to nonprofits, seeing what works and what doesn't. And so you'll be up to speed on all the best stuff, which is great. And so that's basically what we're working on. And we have a really amazing group of folks working on it. So there are constant improvements rolling out, and excited to share more of those as they come as well. Pricing, one of the things we really want to do is make this super accessible to folks. We really don't want you to be in a position where you're turning down big crypto gifts when somebody asks you, right? You don't want to say, oh, we don't take that. And they say, okay, great, well, I'll write a $100 check again instead. And what you just did is gave up on a $50,000 gift. We also see, right, millennial behavior is different than baby boomer behavior, which is if it's not really obvious on your website how to give crypto, they will come, look for it, leave, go to another organization with a similar cause, and go look to give them crypto. So it's really important that we have this option front and center. And what we've done there is said, okay, great, there's no annual subscription, and we'll just take a donation fee as a way to support all of the compliance, all the engineering, everything else. Which then guarantees sort of 20 to 1 ROI spend, which is typically best in class across the board. So super excited about this. If you are interested, and I'm going to hang around for 10 minutes for questions, we have a wait list for our custom sites. Our team is moving super quickly, and they're really good. We just hired an amazing woman named Jaylene to do this full-time, work on crypto operations full-time. We've really grown the crypto team pretty considerably, and they're all awesome. So they're sprinting through this. There are almost 1,000 people on the wait list right now. I mean, people have said, yes, this is something I want. We're really excited about it. But we're working on getting basically anyone that's signing up now, we're trying to make sure you can launch in Q1. And by the way, if you really need it next week for a campaign you're running, for this big outreach to young alumni, for something else, let us know. We'll prioritize it, right? We're really here to support you and try to make it as easy as possible. But if you're on the fence, do sign up for the wait list because it's getting long because there's so much interest there, but we have a great team working on it to make sure we can do folks. We're signing a short agreement. Actually, I believe as of next week, it'll just be accepting terms of service. So we're trying to make that even easier to you. There's no budget process. There's no invoices, super simple. And then we'll create a custom site, start sharing best practices, and go from there. So we're sort of all in on making you successful and helping you raise more money while expanding your donor base here. And I know a bunch of folks on the FreeWill team are listening in, so thank you for all your hard work to make this possible. Start receiving gifts. So that's it. Great. So there was a question in the chat. I'll go through the questions. What does it mean to have a custom site? And actually, my colleague Simone just dropped a link in there. Also, the link to the sign up page is there as well, but I'll scroll back a bunch and show you. This is what it looks like, right? So you can see custom branded. This little logo in the top is going to link right back to your website, so anyone no one sort of gets stuck, and makes it really easy for you to take donations. It's hosted by us. Why is that? So we can make changes and upgrades all the time without going to your IT people, which is a headache. But it looks, to the donor, it looks exactly like it's on your site. Perfect. Are we limited with accepting crypto if we use a fiscal sponsor? Josh, great question. No, as long as that fiscal sponsor is a 501c3, which I assume it is. And so Similar to other donations, it'll go to the fiscal sponsor, noted for you, and we'll sort of chat about how that works. So Josh, great question. Just scrolling up to see other questions. Wait, let's look in the Q&A, a couple of questions. Carol, does the fee include assistance to marketing? Yes. So there's sometimes people ask, okay, how else are you charging? Other tools charge a whole bunch of money per year plus the same transaction fee. All of this is included, right? So we really want you to get smart about it. We want you to have best practices in marketing and so on and so forth. So all of this is included. Great question. Dawn says, when crypto comes through your system, is it ever loaned back out? Where do the coins sit, et cetera? Dawn, what happens is donation happens, and then the tools automatically sell them on exchange, right? So the tools don't hold the crypto for more than a few minutes, turn it to US dollars and do it. So there's no sort of secret stash that we're holding for you. We are taking the coins, selling them immediately through an auto process, and then sending you money that you can put to use in your organization towards your mission. So very simple, very straightforward, and pretty good. Let me go back to the chat to see if there's any more questions. I think that might be it. So feel free to stick around. If you have any more questions, you can type them in the chat. But thank you all for taking a few minutes today to really spend some time thinking about, what is this new type of giving? How do we take advantage of it in a way that really supports our missions and our organization? And then how do I grow as a fundraiser in my career, knowing that this is going to be a big part of the next decade, right? Over the last week, Arizona and Wyoming, I believe, announced that they're going to start looking into taking Bitcoin payments for taxes. You can see this becoming more and more mainstream across the board. Yeah. Robert has a question. Sorry, a Luddite here. Robert, you're not a Luddite because you're here and you're actively learning about this. Does our website or newsletter have a link that goes to your site if you want to donate crypto? Does this appear side by side with a regular donate button? Great question. So what you see on the screen here, this is the type of page you would have. So yes, we host it, but it looks like yours, and people tend to really like that. And then they can obviously link back to it. We really strongly recommend on your donate page, put a donate crypto link that goes here. Why would you do that? Well, because what's going to happen is you'll get a millennial donor, right? Who's coming to your website. You've got a giant red donate button in the corner. That's the thing that calls their attention because you want it to call their attention. So they go there, and then you're sort of pushing them into donating $30. You really want to have that donate crypto button so they can give $3,000, right? You don't want to lose out on all that money because you've told someone to do the least valuable thing they can do, which is give a small cash amount. So great question. Marjorie asked the question. Marjorie, do you mind explaining what you mean by aggregate funds? I don't totally understand your question. So I will give you a quick update. We are looking at things like putting together cause funds in the future. Not something we're currently doing, but we're always open to ideas, and we have a lot of innovative folks. So if you have anything, a great question. So bundled. So we're thinking about things like a climate fund, a women's health fund, cancer relief fund, international development fund, things like that. It hasn't happened yet, but it's something we'll certainly get in place before giving season. And if you have things you really love that other folks are doing, just send us a note because we're constantly on the lookout for new and exciting ideas. So thank you so much. All right, well, let's wrap up there. Thank you to my colleague Simone, who did a ton of work supporting this. And thank you all for joining. Really great to spend some time with you. As a final note, my email is patrick@freewill.com. So if you have any questions, feel free to shoot me a note. I would love to hear from you, and you can always, we can always connect on LinkedIn and things like that as well. So have a wonderful weekend, and look forward to seeing you all soon.